you don't. I don't need the mic, and I don't need to be recording.
No, you don't, because this is
Okay.
this is
All right.
just
I'm just making sure. All right. Here we go.
here
What's
we
up?
go. We're recording. We're already
Okay.
recording. All
Okay.
right.
Here we go.
Hey,
I'm
what's up?
I'm still ready.
Okay, we're recording.
Okay.
Vince, hey, how you doing, everybody? This is Len, the Bat Tribble, and that's you got me on
I'm about
fumble,
to
Vince.
say, how do you forget? You got 5011 podcast. You say the same thing for all of them. This is Lynn, the Bat Tribble, and then you do the kiss. What is all this?
Hey,
I
what's up?
remain ready.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Michelle? God, you got
Right.
me flustered. Hey, what's up, missionaries? I'll your boy. This is Len, aka the Bat Tribble, and as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're just bringing you a nice little snippet, a message from Vince and Len. We're going to answer a couple of emails and responses that we've gotten, and we're going to take a moment to share a little piece of good news. But first, we want to let you know that we really appreciate everyone who has had a very huge um, reception to our increased social media presence as the Micheaux Mission has started streaming our show live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. And we've got more pop happening over on Instagram. And all of that is thanks to our new social media director, Toya Haynes, who has been doing yeoman work in just a week's time building up our presence. So, if you're seeing more of us out there, it's because of Toya. She's
Yay,
doing
Toya.
Yay, Toya.
What's
Toya is
good,
doing it.
Toya?
She is doing it big
Yes, she
time.
is.
She is. And if you are impressed with what she's doing, then I invite you, ladies and gentlemen, please check out Toya. She has two podcasts of her own. She has a podcast called The First Time I Heard, where she sits down with people from the industry and they talk about the first time that they have heard a particular recording artist. I think she has an episode where they talk about the first time they heard Green Day. That's going to be
Yeah, yeah,
going up
that's the
within
new
the next
joint.
couple of days. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then she has another podcast called Unsung Unwrapped, where her and her good friend Nikki Wright they sit down and they review every episode of Unsung, starting with this season. I think they just did, they're very timely. They just did an episode where they reviewed Unsung's episode, tribute to Betty Wright, who
Oh,
just
nice.
recently passed away. So that's a fun episode that they've got up there. Their Drew Hill episode is not to be missed. So that's two podcasts, two podcasts that I invite you to check out, ladies and gentlemen. First time I heard an Unsung Unwrapped. They are
Yeah,
really
first time
important.
I heard, I haven't heard Unsung Unwrapped yet, but first time I heard is fantastic.
It
You know,
really
I'm a
is
big
pretty
fan
cool.
of that. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. All right, so we got a little piece of news that we can share with you, ladies and gentlemen, through no work on our own, and this we can't even owe this up to Toya. Apple Podcasts have put together a nice little feature of their more movie centric podcasts, and not certainly not all of them by any stretch, but they're podcasts that deal with movie history and the behind the scenes of films, and they've put them up in a feature on Apple Podcasts called Cinematic History Behind the Lens. And the Micheaux mission, as I will show you right now, we're one of those podcasts.
We are. We are.
Look at
Yes,
us right
sir.
there.
Look at us. Look at us.
Ooh, ooh, we all
Up there and out
fancy.
there. Yeah.
I know that's pretty dope, right?
Right, right. We're next. We're right next to Inside the Exorcist.
which is some would say apropos for the Micheaux.
Very nice.
So
Very
thank
nice.
you. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Apple Podcast,
Yes,
for shining that little
appreciate that.
spotlight on us. We
We
appreciate it big
certainly
time.
do. We certainly do.
All right, Vince.
Yes.
We got an email. Last week we reviewed the new Barbarians. Remember
The
that?
new barbarians.
Okay, all right.
That's how you
Enough.
have to say
Is that how you have to say it?
it. That's how
If
you
you have
have to say
if you have to say it at all. Um,
it.
and we got another email from Patra M.
Hey, Patra M.
Hey, Len and Vince. This is Patra M. I just wanted to say that I'm loving the live stream format.
Oh, thank
Also,
you.
I'm almost done catching up with all the episodes. Yesterday, I listened to the Tap episode. I got it.
Oh,
I got emotional because I remember watching this film as a kid. They aired reruns for about a month on a cable channel, and I would watch it every time I could. And then I never got around to watch it again, but this film left such a deep impression on me that I still got chills listening to your description of the dance scenes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a favorite. Love Tap. Yeah,
Hmm.
Love Tap. Glad you could revisit your memories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, about the new Barbarians episode. I think it just completed my top three of the funniest episodes of the Micheaux Mission podcast.
I think that's because of you, Len. Because you enjoyed it. They like to see you in pain.
My pain brings the missionaries much pleasure.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
She says, "Hey T, let's go to Africa." AK Belly is her number two.
That's 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 a good one. I don't know how much credit we can take for that because Belly just writes itself.
It certainly does. I mean, all we were doing was quoting the script.
I was about to say that's a quote from the script.
What? How does that quote go again, Vince?
Hey T, let's go to Africa. Dramatic pause. Africa.
She says that Baby Boy is still my
Oh,
number one.
oh, 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 oh. See, I think that's another one. That's your pain.
I tell you, you're right. The evidence is clear.
Because I
Um,
love Baby Boy. I've probably seen Baby Boy 10 times since we taped that episode.
that is, there's no reason to watch that movie.
And I think about you every time I watch it.
Oh God. Um, but we still have one more episode to go before May ends. The teasing for episode 207 makes me anticipate that I might just have to open a top 5 of the funniest episodes.
All right.
Well, I might just open a top 10 because some of your Tyler Perry reviews are pure comedy too.
See, that's her enjoying both of our pain.
However, Driving Miss Daisy is still
Oh,
my
boy.
favorite episode of all
Yes.
time. Thank
Yes.
you for sharing your insightful opinions on black films. Keep up the good work. Patra M.
Thank you, Patra. Lynn, as always, I always like to say, my father and you are of one accord about Driving Miss Daisy. My father was yelling at me about Driving Miss Daisy 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
How did Driving Miss Daisy come up?
It just comes up periodically. Like we'll be talking, again, my dad is from Alabama. So we'll be talking some Alabama stuff, and then somehow it'll come up. And then he'll be angry that I don't appreciate it.
Oh God. But okay. Well,
So there you go.
there you go. There you
You are
go.
in good company.
I am. I am proud of the company that I keep. Mr.
Right.
Williams, thank you.
Yes, yes.
And when they show it on the big screen again, um,
Maybe the two of you can go see it together. Now they're gonna make y'all sit in the back. And when you get the popcorn from the white woman who's at the concession stand, don't be looking at her dead in her eye. Oh no, Miss Lucy, I sure do want these pretzel bites. Could I trouble you for some cheese to dip them in?
well, I won't be able to order pretzel bites because, according to you, if I do, they'll call the police on me.
Right, right. And you already in there buying refreshments from white women, so you already on shaky ground.
Where'd you get that dollar, boy?
Right. I sure would just like some of your good tap water. I brought my own beans. I'm going to eat them before I go in. Wash it down with some of your good tap water. And then you and my father can go see Driving Miss Daisy together.
Anyway, um, hey, we heard from Dorian Misuk,
Hey, what's up, Dorian?
who checked us out. A clip of our show, which went up on Instagram, and he says that going live is a genius idea, fellas. I always thought that this should be a TV show like Siskel and Ebert back in the day.
Oh, all right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right.
There you go.
Well,
You
since
guys
it's
start doing like thumbs up and thumbs down and stuff.
well, everybody loves your T-shirt collection. Um,
Right.
because Skunk Parade said that I haven't seen a fishbone shirt in years. Made my day to scroll upon this because you wore your fishbone shirt
I did.
during
I
that,
did.
and now you're rocking Son of Solomon.
Song
I
of Solomon, that's right. Because I be reading books.
So I guess if we're going to be the true Siskel and Ebert, you've already got the T-shirt game on lock. I guess that means I have to get a corduroy blazer. Didn't one of them wear
Right,
like a
right.
corduroy blazer,
I was thinking maybe you could wear a jaunty hat.
a jaunty hat? Oh, I can.
Just
Oh,
a
I can.
jaunty hat. But like you have to have a different one every episode.
You know what? It's funny you say that. Back
How is that a segue?
watch
Okay.
way back in my days of aspiring to be a hip hop artist
Okay.
with my group TKO, and who then became One to One. My full rap name was Cruz the Mad Hatter. And my deal
Oh,
was that I would wear a different hat every time we did a video or did a show.
there you go. So you
There
got
you
the
go.
hats. They're sitting
I
there. They're sitting in storage somewhere.
They're sitting in storage. So this means that next week I will break out one of the hats. I will.
Okay.
The Mad Hatter will return.
The Mad Hatter has returned. There you go.
Oh my God. Oh man, this is insane. All right, so we got an interesting question before we shut down this little quick little message. We got an
Okay.
interesting question message from big friend of the show, Scheme Richards. Um,
Scheme.
Scheme, who I will tell you, Scheme, right now, so just so that you know, bruh, you are on our short list of what when we return to doing this live in person again, you're on the short list to be a guest on the show, man. Um,
Yeah.
because we have a
Hey,
question for
Lynn, did
you.
I tell you I got the T-shirt?
You got it?
Yeah. Yeah. I got the exact same shirt that he wore at our 200th anniversary.
Oh snap! Oh snap! See,
Yeah.
see,
Oh yeah.
oh, oh man! All right. Yeah. Y'all had to see that shirt. It was all that.
Right.
Anyway, Scheme asked an interesting question, Vince.
Okay.
How many black people in a film does it take to qualify for a black film?
Okay. Okay. Um, You want to go?
No, you go. You go first.
I think depending on the film, it can be one. Depending on the film, I mean, some might argue that. Let me see. Len, remind me. 12 Angry Men. Was that a black person on trial, or
No,
am I mixing that up with To Kill a Mockingbird?
you're thinking about To Kill a Mockingbird.
All right,
In
so
12 Angry Men, it was actually a Hispanic, a Latino boy on
okay.
trial.
Okay, so To Kill a Mockingbird, there's one black character, and I think you could argue that that's a black film because if the man accused of rape was a white man, it'd have a whole different dynamic.
So you would argue that To Kill a Mockingbird is or you're saying you can
I'm
argue it?
saying you could argue it because
Okay.
I think our go-to, or at least my go-to argument has always been, if you switch out the character, how does that
Hmm.
change the film?
Okay.
And if
Okay.
it changes it to a degree where it's no longer the same film, then that kind of almost default makes it a black film. Now, certainly, since you and I have been doing that, there are exceptions.
Yes.
There are things that contradict that, so on and so forth. But again, something like I Am Legend, which I
Yeah.
think I Am Legend, which they've made 3 times and are 3 different films depending on who's playing the lead. I think the Will Smith version very much is racialized
Yeah.
because the last man is black,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
I think that kind of changes something about the dynamic. But I hate answers like this, but I really do think it's case by case. I know David Simon, the creator of The Wire and Homicide and The Corner and Treme, et cetera, used to have this formula where he talked about people saw The Wire as a black show.
Hmm.
And he said that there's a very finite number of black actors that white audiences can deal with
Mm.
before it crosses the Rubicon. And now this is a black show.
That's interesting.
So,
That's interesting.
but
Yeah.
I'm going to say it can be one.
I think it can be one as well. Um, I'm curious, and I think that like goes without being said. We've even talked about there are certain films in the filmography of Denzel Washington or Will Smith who certainly are the biggest, African American stars of the last what maybe 25, 30 years.
Yeah,
Um,
easily.
and there are certainly films in both of their filmography which while we consider them black films because they're the lead, they really could you could swap it out and you could put Tom Cruise and not change a
Right.
word and it could still be the same movie, you know.
Right.
So the one um black person rule certainly can apply. I'm curious though what you think about um a movie like 16 Blocks, which
Right.
is definitely more of a diverse cast, even though one of the leads is a black person, and it is directed by a black person.
Right. Well, then there's that argument. I mean, it's not Zora Neale Hurston. It's not this is Toni Morrison, not Zora Neale Hurston. But there's I've been in a bunch of debates. Zora Neale Hurston has a book called Seraph on the Swanee,
Hmm.
which is about white people in Florida.
Okay.
And both in school and one of my many jobs when I graduated, I worked at the library for a few years. And there was a whole debate about, like, we had an African American lit section,
Hmm.
and it was like, should Seraph on the Swanee be there?
Okay.
And it's like, well, it was written by somebody black. And it's like, yeah, but it's about all white people. So I don't know. I think
Like, would you consider 16 Blocks a black film?
well, first of all, I haven't seen it. So I don't know. I think the director argument is more of an argument than the story itself.
Hmm.
Like, I think a better equivalent would be something like My Beloved 25th Hour,
Okay.
which I think is an amazing Spike Lee film. But I mean, Rosario Dawson. I don't know. I don't know Rosario Dawson's exact. Um,
Oh, you know what? 25th Hour is what I was thinking about, not 16
right.
Blocks. I always do these number
Yeah.
films.
Yeah. Like I don't know if Rosario Dawson is Puerto Rican or Dominican. I just don't know off the top of my head. But certainly she's not African American.
No, she's not.
So there are no black people in 25th Hour.
There aren't.
They're like the dude who like that guy. He plays a detective that arrests Ed Norton.
Right.
But I think he might be the only black person in the whole movie.
Yeah, and I'm drawing a blank on right now on that actor's name. He is actually in Spike Lee's new movie, The Five Bloods.
Right,
Um,
right.
oh, wait a minute. Whoa. Hold on. I'm gonna pull his name up real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Just bear with me, please, as we're doing this live as we are rocking Isaiah Whitlock.
Yeah, Isaiah Whitlock. So he's in it for a couple of scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure he's the only black person in the whole movie. But let's be clear. At some point, I'm going to pick 25th Hour to talk about because it's a Spike Lee movie.
So
And
because it's a Spike Lee, okay, so that's an interesting point. So because
right,
that is Spike Lee directed that, because 16 Hour was a film that I was thinking of with Bruce Willis and Mos Def, and I was confusing that with 25th Hour, but 16 Block was actually directed by Richard Donner. Um,
okay.
this 25th Hour directed by Spike Lee, would you consider that a black film? Because I don't know, I don't think I would consider that a black film.
Again, I think my default answer is I would, but until like we actually ran it through the gauntlet,
And
where me
see.
and you actually kind of dissected for an hour,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, people used to have this conversation about Seraphon the Swanee, and it's like, it's a Zora Neale Hurston book,
Right.
and it certainly fits into her canon, and back to 25th Hour. Like I think there are themes in there that are Spike Lee themes.
Mhm.
I think it looks like a Spike Lee movie. Like if you kind of just showed it to me, I'd say, oh, this looks like Spike Lee directed it.
Mhm.
So does the subject matter trump the artist
Okay.
is sort of the question.
Okay. All
And
right.
if the artist is black, especially if the artist is a tour, we've kind of had this conversation about something like, what did we say John Singleton directed? Was that like Too Fast, Too Furious?
I think he directed one of them. Yeah.
Right. But
The second one.
I mean, but it was like a kind of work for hire. Like there was nothing
Yeah.
about it that kind of reflected John Singleton's vision as a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
something like
but you feel 25th Hour, which 25th Hour, which I have not seen, you feel that fits in Spike Lee's
I,
wheelhouse? Because I always
I
saw that as more like he was a work for hire in that.
I mean, you can certainly make that argument that it was work for hire. And I just forgot the novelist's name that wrote Clockers.
Oh,
Richard, no, not Clockers. I'm sorry. Now I'm back to, now I jumped to Clockers. No, back to 25th Hour. I'm not sure who wrote the script for
David
25th Hour.
Benioff.
Yeah,
David Benioff.
but it
Yeah.
absolutely looks like a Spike Lee movie. Like it
Interesting.
feels like a, in fact, there's this wonderful sequence that's kind of a callback to Do the Right Thing. Like that moment in Do the Right Thing where all the different New Yorkers are cursing at each other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like got this great poetry to it. So it ends up being this love letter to Brooklyn.
Right.
It's a similar scene in 25th Hour. Because remember, 25th Hour is after 9/11.
Right.
So it's
I
this
do remember
great
that.
love letter. It's this great love letter to New York.
Mm-hmm.
But Ed Norton's character has this wonderful rant that's similar to the Do the Right Thing rant, so that it
Okay.
kind of connects to it. So
Okay. Hey, the writer of 25th Hour, and it was adapted from his novel of the same name, David Benioff. What is he
Yeah,
most famous for,
I
Vince?
don't know.
He was one of the showrunners on Game of Thrones.
Oh, that David Ben. Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, how about that? How about
Oh,
that? Cool.
there are no dragons in 25th Hour.
No, they're not. No, they're not. He was saving them.
Right. Maybe that explains why there are no black people. Oh,
Oh,
oh. Someone give him some aloe vera for that burn.
all I know is 25th Hour is closer to being a black film than The New Barbarians. I know that much. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this nice little message from Vince and Len, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try and do more of these in the coming months, um, in coming weeks, primarily because they're fun to do, and Toya says we have to. So that's why.
And Toya says we have to.
So,
How did we recruit somebody to be in charge?
hey, but next week we're going to be watching The Man with Two Heads,
Yes.
starring Ray Milland and Rosie Greer, as we shut down Mother May I Have Another One for May. And then stay tuned because in June it's Music Month. And
That's
wait till
right.
you hear the lineup we have coming for you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll announce that next week. It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. All right.
All right.
Vince, I hope
Yes.
you and your family enjoy a very safe and happy holiday weekend, my brother.
Yes, you and yours as well. You and yours as well.
Thank you, man. And
All
to
right.
each of you missionaries out there, he's Vince, I'm Len, and in parting, we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.